Hey guys, welcome to the Copynomics podcast. Today I have Bob Clarke on, and me and Bob, we're in a mastermind together. So we got to know each other over the last year or two, and the reason I want to get you on is because in the platform that we use, I really didn't know who you were to begin with until we got into mastermind. Then I see you leading, and see you leading there, and then there's an affiliate contest that we both got into. And you placed top 10 on affiliate. So, I mean, you just, kicking ass. And I want to know what you did to cause that.
Yeah, cool. So thanks for having me on, Cody. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You're welcome.
And it's been really good getting to know you too. I'll tell you what, my story is kind of different than most people. Is I had a really good career in healthcare that I was making good money. I had pretty much from the outside looking in, I had everything. And but what I was lacking was freedom. My job basically told me when to take a vacation, when to work, when not to work. I had no flexibility, and it kind of got me when I had to start scheduling my vacations around my hospital shifts. So I started at home business, and man, I didn't know anything. I knew less than nothing. I apologize if you hear my grandson here. It's part of live TV. He's kind of screaming a little bit, but
all right.
Yeah. So I knew next to nothing, and I just taught myself like how to do online marketing and how to do affiliate marketing and stuff. And I kept my job, so I was doing it, with my job, and I was just kind of learning this on the side. And but I didn't, I loved my job. Aside from the fact that I didn't have much freedom, I loved it. I loved what I did. So I didn't really want to quit my job, but I wanted to prepare for later on. I'm older than you. I was getting older, and I was like, I want to have some flexibility. I want to get that freedom as I get older, so I can do what I want to do. And basically, I educated myself, but I fell into so many traps that everybody else does. It's like, I fell into the trap of learning but not doing anything with it. So I would be like on webinars all night. Every night learning stuff. I still have notebooks full of notes that I never used. I didn't do anything with it, man. I was just like, I was getting smart. I was getting educated, but I had no experience in the streets, right, of marketing, if you will. So that was kind of my my whole upbringing, right? Was going from a place of really not knowing anything to self-educating. And then I'll tell you what, like we were talking before we got on about like, what is it in people that switch, right? Where you're struggling, then all of a sudden something happens. And that there's usually a catalyst, right? There's usually something that causes that. Because I was honestly, before this happened, I was just, kind of coasting along, learning stuff, happy that I was learning, not making any money. But that was okay with me because I had my salary for my job. And I was comfortable, so I was just going along. And then something happened. And that something was, on the outside, it looked great. I was getting all kinds of congratulations. I got promoted at my job. So my job, I was in the laboratory, right? That was my job. I was working in infertility laboratories. And I loved that stuff. I loved in the microscope. I loved doing all that stuff. And then, boom, I got promoted. And I got kicked upstairs into management. And now I'm hiring and firing and managing people and handling complaints and all the stuff I had no desire to do. And that was the catalyst for me, because all of a sudden I went from loving my job to not liking my job much anymore. And because of that, the urgency, right? All of a sudden, I got to get out of this thing. I got to get out. So I started really getting serious. I got coached. We share the same coach. I got into his mastermind and stuff, and really put the pedal to the metal and got serious and started learning less and doing more, right? And that kicked it into high gear. And I would say about less than 2 years after that happened, I was out of my job and into full time. And it was that time, really, in that 2 years, where I learned how to grow your audience, right? How to brand yourself. All the stuff that we learn now, I started really kicking into high gear in those 2 years. And it's like anything else. When you do well in affiliate contests or anything else, it's because of the work you did prior.
Right.
And I built my audience up, and I got reputation with them as someone they would trust, and that's how it happened. So, there's always, like you said before, right? There's always an event. There's always something that kind of flicks it from before and after, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's weird because for me it was a promotion.
It's like it's not really business, but I used to go to the gym all the time, and I'll be at work. I drink Monster Energy drink, in the mornings,
Mhm.
and I drink pre-workouts have a lot of caffeine in them. So before I worked out, I drink pre-workouts, and then I'm on the way home and I'm jacked up. And then
Yeah.
so one day I was at work. I was driving a propane truck, so I'm on the way to work, and for no reason my heart just starts beating real fast. And I feel like I'm having a heart attack. Well, I thought I was having a heart attack, which I never had one, so I didn't know what it felt like. But and so I stopped at a store, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like my head is just running around in circles, but I'm not actually going anywhere. So I
Mhm.
go to the hospital and figure out I had a panic attack, but it scared the crap out of me, and that's what made me start wanting to be healthier.
Yeah. It's always something. Yeah. There's always that turning point for sure.
All right, so I have real quick. I got a question. So as an entrepreneur, I feel like uh, in the matrix, if you feel like you can see code, if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
if you're looking at somebody, you can see that they're not at the frequency you are, if that makes sense. So
Yep.
as an entrepreneur, you think different than people. So it's kind of funny. You were talking about doing and or learning and not doing. I remember in the mastermind that we're in, one of the first things I ever remember Mark saying was, "It's the tedious task that you do and other people won't do that'll get you results that other people won't get."
Yep.
So my niece started staying with us, so she lives with us now, and she brought home this book. I had never seen this book before. Don't know where it came from, and she told me that she brought it. But I started reading it. It's called "The Power of Your Subconscious Mind."
Mhm.
On page 2, I opened it up and it said word for word, the tedious task that you do that other people won't do will get you your results other people won't. It's just kind of funny to me that it just happened to be there, and I just picked it up and started reading it. And that's the thing I remember from the mastermind.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's really true, right? I mean, it's like what comes to mind when you say that is the the activities or the tasks that are going to get you the results are never the fun ones,
Right.
right? And it's always the tedious ones, the ones that you wish someone else would do, but you've got to do them. And one of the big switches I made was, first of all, identifying what those tasks are, and then prioritizing them first in my day.
Mm,
So whenever I got a chance to work my business, I used to do those last if I had time because I didn't like doing them. I moved them to first, and I made sure I got those done first. And yeah, I mean, it's like you do those tedious things, you do them consistently. That's what grows it,
right.
right? It's not what usually the fun stuff, right? The whatever you consider fun in your business, it's usually not that stuff that's going to grow it to where you want it.
Yeah. And the fun part is getting on the mastermind. The not fun part is getting on the mastermind and being in the same place you were last week.
Yeah,
Get
I
to
didn't
these
do anything.
things fast and observe. And
Yeah.
so let's just assume that I've got 0 results. And especially, I talk about copywriting, and as far as and a lot about copywriting, but as far as if I got 0 results and I wanted to start a business, or I started a business, I got 0 results, what do you recommend I do to go from 0 to maybe in a 90-day period actually getting some results? Because I feel like you're 90 days out from whatever results you're going to get.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I've changed this answer over the last 6 months or so because I've changed the way I do it. I mean, the answer is the same, but the way to get there is different for me. The answer is you spend 90 days, first of all, identifying who your target market is, and then trying to collect people around in that target market, right? To
Mm-hmm.
whether that's on social media or whatever, you try to grow that audience up because you could have the best service Cody, you could be the smartest copywriter, but if you have nobody to market to, nobody's going to know about it, right? Same with people who are in network marketing. They say they're great products, fantastic, but if you don't have an audience to market to, then nobody's going to buy it.
Right.
And that's where I was at when I decided I wanted to quit my job. Is I looked around and my coach was like, "Well, dude, you have no audience." I'm like, yeah, I know. So for 90 days, that's what I did. I grew it. I did it then organically on Facebook, right? Just the whole messaging thing, and I hated it. I hated it, but I did it because I knew I had to do it. I didn't like doing it. Now I do it, with Mark Harbert's help, if you can create something valuable to your audience, something small, maybe just solve one problem that they have, or give them some alternatives to what they're doing, or something to save them time, something that where it helps your target market, your audience. I then put that into a little what they call lead magnet, and I promote that on Facebook or on social media, and including running ads to it. And you can grow your audience a heck of a lot faster that way. And there used to be a big stigma about running ads, like, oh, you're going to waste all your money, you're going to lose a ton of money. Dude, I run $5 a day ads. That's what I do. And I'm growing my audience, 10 at a time, 10 each day, right? So I'm getting like, 50 cent to $1 leads, because I have something that people want. So that's the trick to it. But that's what I would do. I'd say, take some time, see if you can develop some kind of a lead magnet where, something that people would want, and then go run some $5 Facebook ads to it. And it's so different the way it used to be. Facebook now does most of the work for you in terms of finding your audience, your target. Do that, and then you start growing your audience, and then it's just a matter of communicating with them, right? Of sending emails out and building a relationship, and that's the fast way, I think.
Right.
And I used to be a little bit afraid of running ads, like I was going to lose a whole bunch of money, but Mark changed my mindset around that, where it's really the fastest way to grow your audience.
I agree. I agree, because building the best results I've got were on my Facebook regular profile. And but the only problem was it was gaining, I had to do a whole lot to gain traction. Like I had to go into groups and manually message people and add them. And I figured out a way that for me, and it just worked really good, because I started out, I had like 3 views, and within probably about 2 months, I was getting 600 up to 1,000 views per video. And I had like a loyal little following that was always there.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually, this one girl, I did an interview with her on the Facebook Live, and I sent people I said, if you want to check her out, go to her profile, and I put the link in it. And she messaged me back. She said, I had like probably about 40 people message me and buy stuff from me. And she gave me a mastermind session with her. It was worth $2,500. And
Wow.
I didn't mean to do it, which I didn't mean not to do it. But I mean, it's just, building your audience. That's what it can do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that kind of falls into the category of things you don't really want to do.
Right.
It's not that much fun to do it, but boy, it pays off like crazy. It really does.
Like because I figured out, there's with Facebook, if you manually add, or if you add so many friends, they'll kick you out. So you have to like show Facebook that it's not something irregular that you're doing. Yeah. And so you have to build up to that. And it just, it sucks. But then after you get up to a certain point, then people just start coming automatically, and you don't have to do the manual work anymore.
Yeah, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Facebook. I said the other day to somebody, like, if I wasn't doing business in Facebook, I wouldn't be on Facebook.
Right.
I don't really enjoy doing that kind of stuff, but it's where my target audience mostly hangs out. Mm-hmm. So you go where they are, right? You meet them there. Yep. But yeah, it's the organic strategies in Facebook. They work. They definitely work. I've done it. You've done it. We all done it. But to me, there's faster ways to get where you want to go. So.
Oh yeah. What I was going to say is, if so let's just say I built it up to about 600 to 1,000 followers or viewers per video. If I were to pay it, I could have got that in one day.
Yeah.
If I paid for
it. Yeah, absolutely. And also you can test stuff easier, right? You can run out a couple of PDFs and see which ones people like most.
Yep.
They'll tell you. They'll either vote for it or they won't.
Yeah, and
whether or not they get it.
And Facebook don't care. They either give you results or they don't give you results. And if they don't, you just change the strategy a little bit.
Right. But I think that's what I would tell people who are struggling now is don't be afraid of stuff.
Right.
Like, even if you don't understand it, don't pay somebody $100 to show you how to do Facebook ads.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the shortcut. People are always asking me like, dude, what's a shortcut? I need a shortcut because my target market are mostly people who are part-time in their business, right? And they all want shortcuts. They want to go faster. And I tell them the same thing. I'm like, paid advertising is a shortcut,
Mm-hmm.
and coaching and mentoring is a shortcut. Those two things. And some of them listen to me and some of them don't. But there's not that many shortcuts, but they do exist.
Right. And I feel like if there is a shortcut, it's to do the work, because if let's just say it takes a year then to get to some results, and it sounds like a long time, but a year really not that long. And if you look back a year ago, what results did you have? If you would have started then, you would have the results you wanted now if it took that long.
Yeah, dude, there's a saying, and I don't know who said it. It might have been Jim Rohn, but I'm not positive. But I live by this. It's like, do whatever it takes for as long as it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is like, I can't stand these. I see these people come in and they're like, well, I'll give this a try for 30 days and I'll see what happens. It's like, either you're in or you're out, right?
Right.
If you're in, get in all the way and do it for as long as it takes to get results. And that is what it will take, because you and I can't sit there and tell this third person, well, you're going to get results in 90 days. We don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. So, that person has to have the mindset, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And if it takes me 30 days, 90 days, that's fine. If it takes me a year, I'm going to still be here, still doing it. And that isn't what people really want to hear, but it's the truth.
Yeah. I have my YouTube channel. I'm doing YouTube more than anything, but I had this one video and I got an email from Ben Settle, and it said it was like 19 things, if it's like basically 19 pieces of advice for newbies or something like that. So I shared it on YouTube, and that video just happened to get into search rankings with it, and it blew up. That one video is basically holding my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I think I posted that video about 3 months ago, and it's got almost 1,000 views right now, and none of my other videos have close to that. But if I could find another one of those videos to do the same thing, even if you do 50 videos and 3 videos do the same thing, pick your channel up like that, then
you know what, man? It's like, I'm convinced that the 80-20 rule is everywhere in life. Like for videos, it's like 20% of your videos will give you 80% of your views.
Right.
It falls into everything. So yeah, it's the same in what I do, right? Like if I run 5 ads, one of them might work really well and carry me through, and the other 4 didn't do well.
Right.
That's part of marketing. It's part of life, right? What the problem is that a lot of people try 1 or 2, it doesn't work, and they're out, they're done, right? So imagine if you would stop doing videos before you did that Ben Settle video. You never would have found out.
Yep. And also I found there's a ratio that appears. So if you let's just say it takes 100 messages to get 1 sale, right? You want to get better at selling, but in the meantime, you can make up for it by knowing that ratio and knowing how many people you need to talk to get as many sales as you need.
Yep. Jim Rohn said it. He said you can make up in numbers what you lack in skills.
Yep.
And yeah, that's basically what I did. Is I worked my ass off for those 90 days when I wanted to quit my job, and I had some skills because I've been learning stuff, but mostly I lacked skills, and I made up for it in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It's what most of us have to do.
Yeah. So there's more than one way to do it. And also, if you're building a funnel, if you're terrible at getting leads, but you're good at closing, then that makes up for it. But if you're terrible at closing, but you're good at getting leads, so you need to figure out which one you're good at and kind of double down on that one.
Yep, absolutely. You play to your strengths. That's what I do. I play to my strengths, and if I can, I outsource my weaknesses.
And but it's funny you talk about keep doing the work. Ray Higdon, I heard him say one time, well, a lot of times, I did a video every day despite not having any results. And it's funny, he talked about, he was like 3 months in and he was doing video a day. And he's like, hey, grandma, because she's watching the video, but nobody else. Now the guy makes a couple $100,000 a month.
Yeah. He told me, I don't know if these numbers are actually, totally true, but he told me something like he did a video a day for, I think he said 6 months before he got a lead. Can you imagine? I mean, that's crazy. Like, I don't know too many people who would stick with that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm guilty of this. People do a video for 3 days and don't get anything, and they're like, "Oh, this don't work." And I mean, I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, of course, it's human nature, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, 6 months is crazy.
Yeah, and but that's for people who are listening, that's an extreme, right?
Yeah,
that's not normal. It just, for whatever reason, that was his experience. And it says a lot to his consistency and his discipline, self-discipline. But that's not, I mean, the normal is not to go 6 months without seeing anything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think we're in such a microwave society, right, where everybody wants stuff now. And that's actually, now that we're talking about it, I help people who are part-time, and that's probably the biggest mindset thing I have to help them overcome, is that when you're in a job, when you work, you get paid. Right? You work 40 hours a week, you get paid for 40 hours the following Friday, right? That's what most people do. When you're business, you don't get paid for the hours you work. You get paid for results that could come later.
Right.
So like, I've had people who are like, hey, I put in the time, where's my money? Like, no, it doesn't work that way in this business, but there's also no cap to it.
Yeah, I was going to say the difference is in your job, the results are linear. That if you get a raise, it's going to be about 30 cents, right, or whatever it is. So if you get another raise, it's going to be the same amount, probably, somewhere around there. But in business, it's exponential. So if you might get a $3,000 raise, and the next time you might get a $7,000 raise. And it multiplies instead of just goes linear.
Yeah, my son works for the federal government, and he told me that he's in his job now. He's reached the top pay grade for that job. So no matter what he does now, he can't make more money.
Right.
And he has no incentive, right? There's no incentive to do more. That's typical government employee kind of stuff, right? That's where that's where a business comes in. It's like there's no ceiling, right? You're never going to get locked into, well, this is as much as I can make.
Right.
So that's, when I point that out, then people get excited. But in the beginning, it's like, hey, I put in my time, man. Where's my money?
Yeah. So I mean, and like, imagine even if you stop right now, it'll take a while for your money to disappear.
Yeah. Because if you're creating content, you're putting videos out there. They're all, I call them like little soldiers, right? They're out there marketed for you. And even if you stopped for a while, right, that would definitely keep going, maybe for years.
Yeah. Speaking of soldiers, do you plan on using AI in your business?
Yeah, I do. I've been playing with it. I guess what I do is I let it do some of the work for me, where I let it kind of give me the facts and the stuff around what I'm trying to create. And then I put my own spin on stuff, and I add in my experiences and my stories and stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, it's not going away. It's only going to get bigger. And I think it would be foolish to ignore it. I'm a little ashamed to say this, Cody, because it's kind of silly, but when I'm old enough to know when the internet first started.
Me too.
And I remember saying to my friend, like, this will never last.
Right.
Right. And I delayed, like I saw somebody have like a .com on a billboard. I'm like, what is that stuff? That's never going to last. And boy, did I get that wrong. Right. And I think this AI is the same kind of thing, where it's going to infiltrate every part of our society. And, you have a choice to either embrace it or not.
Yeah. And
so I'm embracing it.
When it came out, was it like 96 or something like that, when it first started to get mainstream? I was 10 years old. So I didn't really think about. I know when first phones came out, or cell phones, I wanted one because I saw somebody just playing on it, playing a game while they were waiting for their dad to come pick them up. I used to work at a grocery store.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. I could just play on my phone. And now I'm like, I want to go back to the '90s, because
Yeah.
I hate, like, I want to do like a dopamine detox. I just hate being on the phone all the time. I want to go out and do stuff.
Yeah. I read the other day where my wife is funny. She doesn't really want a phone, but she knows she has to have one. But she wants to go back to a flip phone,
Hmm.
those old flip phones. And I'm telling her, like, hey, you can't get those anymore. You forget it. You gotta use the smartphone. Well, I read the other day that flip phones are making a comeback. And it's just for the reason you said, where people are like, I don't want to be tied to this thing. This smartphone is too smart,
Right.
So you want to just be able to flip it, shut it off, and leave it, and just get phone calls on it. And I have to admit, there are some days I feel the same way.
Yeah, and like recently, like my kids, they play it. We have a big piece of property, and a lot of woods around here, so that's good. But they play outside a lot, and recently we just been taking a camping a lot, riding on a four-wheeler, all kinds of stuff like that. Because I want them, to have that kind of life instead. But at the same time, AI can do so much to help. It can save so much time.
Absolutely. And like I said, I think you're going to be hard to pressed to find an area of life it doesn't change.
Yeah,
I read the other day where by the end of the year, we'll all have the opportunities to have AI personal assistants. And I'm like, okay, that would be interesting, right? I mean, we kind of have that now with some of the gadgets we have around now, but I think this will take it to a whole nother level.
yeah,
And look, you can ignore it, you can live without it, and that's the option. But especially if you have a business, why not? Why not? Use it to whatever extent you want to, um, but use it the way you want. Like I'm not use. I know some people who are like writing entire blog posts with just AI, and they just prints it out,
hmm,
publish. I don't like to do that. I like to add my own spin to stuff, and I have my own voice, my own way of writing stuff. Um, so maybe at some point, AI will be smart enough to copy my voice. I hear that's going to come. I don't know, but I'm still want to be involved in the process. I don't want to just turn my business over to AI.
yeah. Well, one thing I did find that I do like is I could take this video after we're done, and I could put it in AI and tell it to break it down into social media, like Facebook posts. So I could create like maybe 4 or 5 pieces of Facebook posts out of it without actually having to write the post.
Can you really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Yeah.
If you do a lot of videos, transcribe go on Google, YouTube transcribe the video and tell it to break it down in a post, and it can do that for you.
Wow. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I was just on a training the other day where they were showing people how you can, how like for people to find their ideal client, their target market, it's often pretty challenging for people.
Hmm.
And now people are using AI prompts to walk through the process, and AI is basically writing it for them,
That's cool.
finding their target market. Which, as a trainer in network in online marketing, that's one of the hardest things sometimes to help somebody find. So I'm excited to use that in my coaching.
I agree. And you could get so niche specific too now. And like, so think about, for example, like uh a lot of people, when I was doing Facebook Live, they would say, this one girl, she said she was selling CBD. And I said, well, who you talking to? She said, everybody. I said, no, don't talk to everybody. She said, well, who do I need to talk to? I said, well, let's figure out some of the problems that CBD fixes. And one
Mhm.
of them was anxiety. I said, why don't you fix anxiety and use CBD as a tool to fix it instead of being because nobody's searching CBD, they're searching how to fix my anxiety.
Yeah, I have this client, and she's an older client, and she has a husband who is a little bit older than her, and he's like fallen 3 or 4 times, take him to the hospital, the whole thing, right? And so she found this patch that helps him with his balance, right? So he doesn't fall as much. And she swears by it. She says, I put that on him, he doesn't fall, I don't fall. So she swears by it. And she's having no success promoting these patches because a lot of people are promoting these patches, right? It's all over the place. So she's like, what should I do? And so we worked together, and I had her create with AI, right? She created a list of like the top 20 reasons why older people fall, and maybe some fixes for it, right? So some ways to help. And she created this nice, like, 5-page PDF. And of course, at the end, one of the solutions was her patch.
Right.
Right. And she's made some sales now, because it isn't just going out, hey, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Now you give somebody some real help. You help them with, anybody who's her target market's older people who have spouses who are fall risks. Okay. I'm getting older, so I'm starting to understand that a little bit more now, although I'm not falling. But so she goes out there, she gets them some interesting information using AI to do it.
Right.
And then she customizes it at the end, puts in her information about her patch. Boom, getting some people interested. So there's so many ways to use it, man.
Yeah, but so she's not saying, "Hey, buy my patch." She's saying, "Hey, here's a problem, and here's a solution, and one of them is a patch." So it's
Yeah,
I see just going about it wrong.
The whole positioning of it, right? When you give somebody something, right, like help with something, and then you say at the end, well, if you'd like to know what I found, what I use, now all of a sudden that's way different than saying buy my stuff.
Yeah.
It just positions it way different. And there's a lot of human behavior stuff going on there with the law of reciprocity. Like, people read your thing, so they want to check out what you're offering, but for whatever reason, it does work better. And yeah, that's what I'm training all my clients to do now is, use AI, create something that will help people, and then sell your stuff on the back end.
Yep.
Works much better.
So you have any books you recommend?
Books I recommend. I've looked over at my bookshelf. This one. I read this book once a year. Can you read that?
Yep, Slight Edge.
The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Basically, it talks about doing these simple little disciplines that make it's like what we talked about before, right? Doing simple disciplines, simple tasks, simple activities that will give you the most results.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all about that, how to find them, how to get rid of all the extraneous distractions around you that take us all hostage, how to put your phone down, and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, that's the book I read about once a year. I love the book. The other book I would recommend is called The One Thing. It's by hold on. Gary Keller, The One Thing. And it really is like I live by that book, because it really is the whole thing is focus. And if you're a business person, if you're not focusing in on your niche, your target market, your offers, everything, right? Your marketing strategy, you got to really focus in on those. And I actually focus it down to one, the power of one. That's how I grow my business. That's because I was like that other lady, right? I was trying to market to everybody. Like, oh yeah, anybody who's breathing, right? But it's a weird thing with marketing, right? But the more niche down you get, the better results you get.
Right.
It seems like it's opposite to what it should be, but it's not. It's right.
Yeah, it's like you could be a big fish in a small pool instead of a little fish in the ocean.
Yeah. And I think some of it's a scarcity mindset, right? You think, well, I don't want to give up any sales, right? And
yeah,
what we don't realize is that there's billions of people in the world who could buy your stuff, and
yeah, and
carve it out your little thing.
And by going after every sale, you're actually losing every sale.
Yeah, because you blend in with everybody else who's out there saying, "Buy my stuff," Yeah.
So, all right, and one more question before we go.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you could think of to give to anybody that's new?
Best piece for anybody who's new. I got it. For everything that you learn, do one thing. Right. And that's from experience, because I made that big mistake, like I said. So you go to a webinar, you learn something, take something you learned, put it into play. See what happens.
So don't just sit on it.
Yeah, I look at it like a seesaw, right? Like, if you know those seesaws on the playground,
Yeah.
right? So if you have like on one side is like learning, and the other side is doing, right? Most people honestly are really heavy on the learning and not so heavy on the doing. So it's like this.
Hmm.
You got to even that out so it's level. You don't want to stop learning, right? But if you can, for every time you learn something, then go put that thing in action. And whether that's mindset or marketing or whatever, right? Whatever you're learning, try to put that into some kind of action because you'll get results faster.
Right. I understand. And
So that's probably what I would. That's changed over the years too. But that's a great question. I haven't gotten that question in a while.
oh yeah. So
Yeah,
so if we learn something, we get excited about stuff too. I get excited when I learn something, but don't keep it to yourself. Share it with the world.
yeah. If you're on social media, go share it. That's the easiest thing to do, right?
Right.
And what does it do too? It shows people that you're learning stuff. That
Yep.
you're not just sitting on the sidelines.
Yep.
And everybody likes somebody who's in action.
Hmm.
So if you're in action, you're telling people what you're learning. You're gonna start attracting a following.
Right.
It's like you with your videos, right? All of a sudden, people are like, "Oh man, he's doing these good videos. I'm gonna." You start developing an audience. You notice the same people on the videos all the time.
Hmm.
That's what it is because you're in action.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, that's it, man. I sure do appreciate you getting on.
Yeah, no problem. That's been great. And yeah, I think we've both come a long way in this mastermind we're in. And I'm looking forward to watching you grow more.
Sky's the limit, man.
Yep, absolutely, man.
All right, man. I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, Cody, take care, man.
Yeah, man. You too.
Bye bye.